you doing?
There you go. Okay, doing great, doctor.
I had to unmute.
Okay, great. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear. I got my Bose speakers here, so I'm in good shape.
All right, brother. That sounds good. I like that background, brother. You're coming out of Florida, aren't you?
I'm coming out of Florida, but that's a virtual background. I'm not actually on the beach.
Okay.
Even though our governor, he allows us to go to beaches and all kinds of nonsense during the pandemic. But yeah, that's a virtual background.
Okay. Now, brother, let me make sure I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. Dr. Shabazz.
I say Shabazz. That's the original pronunciation. Some people say it the other way because they think it rhymes with jazz, but it's the ah sound.
Okay, Shabazz. Okay,
Shabazz.
all right, brother. We got about 15 minutes. I really want to express my appreciation for this. I have seen your website for years. It's got to be one of the best chess websites, not just in North America, but in the world.
Probably one of the oldest now, because it's going on 20 years, and websites typically don't last that long. I mean, you have a couple out there like The Week in Chess with Mark Crowther. He's 20 plus, but I've seen a lot of websites come and go.
Right. Okay. All right.
It'll actually be 20 years next year in February.
It's amazing.
I might try to do a little something. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I might try to do something for that 20th anniversary.
And the web address is thechessdrum.net. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Thechessdrum.net. Folks, I want to urge you to go to that website. Brother, you do a lot of traveling. I think one time you were in Cuba taking some photos of some brothers playing chess. Is that right?
I was, and I was playing too.
Okay.
I played some games on the street, some street guys, and a couple games. I went over to the Capablanca Chess Club over in Havana. Played some guys. Guys are strong there. They take their chess very seriously. I mean, you see people on the streets, random games, you know, and you see the artwork in the streets. You see sculptures, chess oriented. Chess is very much a part of Cuban culture, of course, with Capablanca, and they have quite an appreciation for chess, which I wrote a couple of essays about my travels there.
And what are some other countries you've been to?
I have covered 6 Olympiads, so that would be Spain, that would be Italy, Germany, and I went to Turkey, Norway, and the Republic of Georgia. So for the Olympiad, that's been 6 countries.
Wow.
And a lot of times when I travel to places, I try to hook up with the chess club. So I really can't count those because those are not chess trips. But I've been to Jamaica for a event, Trinidad a couple of times for chess events, the Bahamas for another chess event. So those have been the places that I've gone for specifically for chess. But all the other places, I visited the chess community in Ghana, in Kenya, in Qatar, which is in the Middle East, Bahrain, which is also in the Middle East. So I've seen a few places in terms of chess community. Also Vietnam. I was in Vietnam, and they treated me very well in Vietnam. It was amazing. Me to the chess club there in Hanoi. I played a young man who was disabled. He was in the wheelchair. I was very touched by that. And then they took me to a great restaurant after that. And so, yeah, Vietnam, I was treated very well.
And when you go to these different places, like in less developed nations, are they equipped okay? They're not equipped? I mean, what are you finding?
For chess, they have the basics. Chess, you don't really need much. You need sets and clocks, but in terms of the facilities, they vary, because when I was in Bahrain, and Bahrain is this small place in the Middle East. It kind of juts out from the Arabian Peninsula, but they had a nice office space. And in fact, is where Kramnik played the computer. I think it was called Deep Fritz. They played in Bahrain. And so I visited that club, and it's just kind of like an office floor. And then you go to places like in Kenya, where they just had like a small area for their club meetings. So it varies.
Mhm.
Some of the places are very modest, and then some you can tell that they put money, they've invested time and money into chess. It really varies. And some places are just like here. They're at coffee shops, they're at restaurants, the other places that we all know here in the States where we just say, okay, let's meet at Starbucks every Wednesday, or meet at in Tallahassee. We used to meet at Borders when Borders was open. We used to meet at Borders on Wednesday nights, and so you find the same thing around the world. People will meet at certain spots and they'll just play. I've never been to Russia. I hear their chess club is kind of like this St. Louis. If you go to St. Louis Chess Club,
Yes.
I mean it's just very upscale and high level. But I haven't been to Russia yet. But I have been to St. Louis, and that's probably one of the best clubs that I've been to.
Do you know if anyone is trying to make an effort to sort of connecting majority black chess clubs with chess clubs in other countries like Jamaica, Ghana?
There's actually a few things that are going on now because of the COVID-19. A lot of activity has moved online, and you have these challenge matches that are happening. Not only one-on-one, but you have some team matches as places like Haiti versus the Cameroon. Or Ivory Coast versus Ghana. You have a lot of these online matches that are happening. And it's really interesting because these countries would not normally have a chance to play, but because of the online platform, you now have a lot of these cage matches where you have one-on-one, and then you have these team matches happening.
Mm-hmm.
So either intentionally or unintentionally, this kind of synergy is beginning to take place. It is my goal to have a Pan-African tournament where you can have players from the different parts of the diaspora to play in a single tournament, whether it be a team tournament or whether it just be a tournament where you have people from the African diaspora to get together and play.
I hope you well on that. That is a fantastic idea. I'd love for some of my chess athletes here in Louisville to participate in that. One thing I think would be helpful to them, it helps them learn of what's happening in other nations, what's happening in Ghana and Ivory Coast and places like that. They pick up some things, and I think it's lessons that they can take with them for a long time. Now, speaking of that, I remember, I think the first time I was exposed to you was a booklet that you wrote. It was called the Harlem Renaissance. It was about a tournament that was held in Harlem. Your brother Maurice Ashley was involved in it.
Yes.
And brother, what got me was that I was looking at this and I was saying, man, Zambia, South Africa?
Yep.
Yeah.
Uganda.
I mean, these brothers were tough. I mean,
and then don't forget, we had a Canadian brother, Michael Schleifer. He's now deceased, but he came down from Canada as an international master. And most brothers had never heard of him, but yeah, he's the international master. His parents are Jamaican.
Mm-hmm.
He unfortunately passed away some years ago there in Canada. I wrote an obituary. That was a historic tournament on so many levels. Not only having 10 players of the African diaspora in one tournament, but it was also in Harlem, which is why I call it the second Renaissance, because it makes sense. You have this collection of talent in an art form getting together, and it was just a memorable tournament.
It was at the Hotel Teresa?
It is. That's a historic hotel because that's where Malcolm X held his meetings, and it's also where Fidel Castro stayed. When they wouldn't allow him a hotel by the United Nations meeting, he came to Harlem, and I believe that's where he stayed.
I don't know if you got any more copies of that, but I like to urge my listeners, get it. Contact Dr. Shabazz and get that, because I got a copy. I don't lend it out, period. I don't lend it out. But you ought to read it, man. You read that. I'm saying, talk to my listeners. You read that, you get all sorts of history. You read a lot. You learn a lot. But you also wrote something on Emory Tate. Can you talk about that? Can you talk a little bit about him and what you wrote about him?
We miss him. He passed away, been almost 5 years. He passed away in 2015. And I came out with a book in 2017 about the life of Emory Tate. It's called Triple a Triple Exclam, The Life and Games of Emory Tate, Chess Warrior. He was a unique person because you don't meet many people like him in life. If you meet one person like him in your life, you've been blessed. But Emory was actually born on the west side of Chicago, and he came from a large family, and he had half siblings, and then I believe he had twin sisters. He had a younger sister, and then he had an older sister. So there were 5 of them, and I think 4 half siblings. So he had he had a large family. And his father played chess, kind of a coffee house player, not a tournament player, but he taught Emory, would be Emory Jr., the game. And Emory kind of took to the game in high school, where he joined the club and he started improving, and he became very much a fanatic of the game. And then he went off to Northwestern, got a academic scholarship. But he spent a lot of time playing chess, probably too much time and not enough time in his classes. And so he actually left Northwestern after 1 year and then went down to Alabama. His half brother, who was about 12 years older than he was, brought him down to Alabama and to kind of get him on the right track. Emory kept on with chess, but then after a while, his brother says, hey, you got to find something more to do, and took him down to the recruiting office of the Air Force. And then Emory enlisted and went off to the Air Force, went into language school where he studied Russian. And then that's where he started his streak of championships in the armed services. You know, he was a 5-time armed forces champion, which is the championship for the whole military. I met Emory in Chicago when he was still about, he had to be about 20, early 20s when I met him. I was just in high school, or maybe just out of high school. He really catches your attention because at that age, you know, he had this afro and he was very muscular. He was a very muscular guy. He had these big forearms, and you noticed him, but then you also noticed the way he spoke, because he spoke at a very accelerated pace. He spoke quickly, and he spoke with kind of a high-pitched voice, not a high pitch, but it was a unique tone. But he had this huge vocabulary. I mean, he would throw out words and then have you scrambling for the dictionary. Because I mean, he was throwing this stuff out, and very charismatic. And so I remember playing him some games, and I mean, tactical pieces flying everywhere, sacrifices, lighting up the board. And I knew then and there that, wow, this is just another level of chess. And his creativity was just amazing. And so fast forward a bit, I mean, he goes off to the military and he makes a name for himself. And then he comes back from the military after having been around the world, picking up, you know, another 6, 7 languages along the way, started to play chess professionally and started to make a name with his exciting games and his blazing sacrifices. But one of the things about Emory was, yes, his play was something to behold, but then his postmortems, his going over a game and pulling people in and say, let me show you this game I just played. And now you were in for a treat, because it was a stage. He was on a stage and he was acting out a game. Chess is move by move, but he was actually acting it out like it was a play. So he was dramatic, and he was giving all these metaphors, and he would break into another foreign language, and then he would recite a poem, and then he would have Triple Exclam, which is the name of the book. He would say Triple Exclam. There's no such thing as Triple Exclam in chess. We only go to Double Exclam, but he wanted to emphasize that, hey, this was a brilliant move. He would often say Triple Exclam, and he had a lot of other colorful language that he would use. So it was almost like you were watching a performance unfold in front of your eyes, and he would make chess come to life. At the World Open in the skills room, he would go over a game, and then everybody would look, oh, Emory's going over a game. So you would have a crowd of people that would come, and I kid you not, about 40 people would be around him, and he's at a board, but you'd have 40 and some 50 people standing in chairs watching him analyze this game. It was amazing because I had never seen that before. There was one time that he gave, and it's in the book Triple Exclam, that he was doing this game against Sergey Kudrin. He crushed him in 24 moves. So after he made his last comment about the game, and he gets up to leave the room, the whole audience starts breaking out in applause. Well, see, he got an ovation just for going over a game. I had never seen it, but it was a performance.
Yes.
It was a theatrical performance, and it was beautiful to witness that. I mean, and he would do it, and sometimes he would go over the game in Russian. Be showing a Russian guy this game, and he's going in Russian. And I mean, the famous game he would do was against Udasin.
Mm-hmm.
Just an amazing attack. I mean, anybody would be proud to play such a game, but see him going over the game with this Russian guy, and he's fluent Russian. He was unique in a lot of ways. It was his spirit, his energy, but the most important thing was that he had this passion for chess. He loved chess like he was in a relationship, and he would not abandon chess. I never got to ask him a question. Why did you choose chess to dedicate your life? I never asked him that question. I wish I had asked him that question. I never got a chance, but the passion was just amazing, and we miss him greatly.
He has a Kentucky connection. One of his sisters owns a McDonald's franchise here in Louisville, Kentucky. I was playing at her restaurant, and she said, my brother's into chess. And I said, oh, and what's your brother's name? She said, Emory Tate. It's like bumping into somebody and saying, oh, my brother boxes. What's your brother's name? Muhammad Ali? Oh.
She probably was talking about you at the funeral because she gave her remarks at the funeral, and she talked about somebody doing that very thing, that she would run into people and she would say, my brother's name is Emory Tate, and that person would say, Emory Tate. It's like, so she's probably had that a number of occasions.
I can imagine. Chess players here, they know Emory Tate. I did a tournament, memorial tournament, and his daughter came in for it.
Yeah, Janine.
Beautiful sister, and we gave her a prize and all. And of course, we were talking a little bit, and she said, how many people want to come to my father's funeral? You think he's just some sort of legend or something? I looked at her. I said, ma'am, don't think about it. Know that your father's legend. Know that. And it was just something.
Definitely.
Brother, we don't have much time left. Tell us where we can get your book on Emory Tate.
This is the book here, Triple Exclam, Life and Games of Emory Tate. Virtual background is kind of messing it up a bit. But you can actually order it through the Chess Drum. I have a place where you can click on the home page, and it will take you to PayPal. And I only have the softback copies. They're $20, and you can order it through Amazon. If you're international, you can order through Amazon. But if you're stateside, then you can order it through the Chess Drum, and I'll mail those out myself.
I just want to say to my chess students who are watching this, to my chess coaches who are watching this, teachers in the Jefferson County Public School System, get this book. Get this book and go over the games with your students. Get this book. It's anything Emory Tate does is worth reviewing.
All of the games are annotated, and some of the games are annotated by players that you may know. Some of you might know Todd Andrews, who was a very good friend of Emory Tate's. He's a FIDE master. Jimmy Canty of Detroit annotated the game. Grandmaster Pontus Carlson did a couple of games. I believe Amos Simatoe did the game for me, as well as Yasser Sarawan, and Alejandro Ramirez did games as well. So it is a good characterization of what Emory Tate meant to chess.
Yes.
And this book does, as good as people say this book is, I don't think that really scratches the surface as to what he really meant to chess. There are not too many players at his level that will walk past a game of two players who might be rated 1,000, and he'll stop, look at the game, look at the position, and offer his input. Most players at his level would just say, oh, well, those are 1,100 players or 1,500 rated players. They're not worth my time. But Emory would see a position, doesn't matter whose game it was, whether what your rating was, he would come in and he would show that, hey, I have something that I want to add to this art, because to him it was an art. That I was analyzing one of my games with Glenn Beatty, who was also one of his Air Force friends. He also annotated the game in the book. I was showing him my game, the World Open. I won a very nice game. So Emory kind of walks behind us. He had this way of assuming the floor from a distance. Just in the wings, he would just cross his arms and he would watch the analysis from maybe 8 feet away. And then when he analyzed the position, he would step up, or he might even just start spouting off variations. So then he comes up to the game and he says, oh, rook h3. It was a rook lift from rook h1 to h3. And then the follow-up was rook c3, swinging the rook all the way over, attacking the queen. Now the queen could actually take the rook. It was a sacrifice. But if queen takes rook, then queen takes pawn, and then you mop up, and then you get a mating attack. He saw that in seconds. And Glenn and I are strong players.
Right.
And we're looking at all these variations, and he comes up in rook h3, rook h1 to h3, and swing the rook over to c3. He walked away, and we looked at each other, and we started smelling, shaking our head. Because that's different level. When you start seeing rook lifts and then swinging rooks over over the board.
We got to have you come back again sometime. We got to have you come back again sometime, really, seriously. I'm going to let you know we're definitely going to share this interview with a lot of folks, including Dr. John Marshall here in Louisville, Kentucky. He's one of the most respected educators here in our community. And every summer he does an after-school program and summer program. He does chess and literacy. And he's called me in his office several times, and he's really excited about the results he gets from that.
When this coronavirus lets up, probably in 2021, I have to get up to Kentucky.
Oh, yes, sir.
I used to drive through Kentucky because I was a graduate student in Atlanta. So from Chicago to Atlanta, I would take 65 through Indiana and then Kentucky, and then I would Tennessee, then Georgia, and to Atlanta. So yeah, I'm familiar with that stadium. When you're on 65, you see the stadium.
Yes, sir.
On the right-hand side.
Hey, you got to come see the Ali Center.
Yeah, definitely.
Louisville Slugger. Visit the U of L campus. Meet some of our folks. Absolutely, brother.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
A campus man to Florida A&M. I've been here 22 years, so I'm definitely interested in seeing those campuses that you had. Louisville.
Yes. And you're familiar with Simmons College, right?
I'm familiar with Simmons, Kentucky State, and there's a couple other universities.
Yeah, we got a few. I brought up Simmons College because that has a heck of a history. And their president, Reverend Dr. Kevin Cosby, man, he's genius level. I know he'd love to sit down and talk with you. I know he'd love to talk to you sometime.
It's a lot of geniuses. We just have to tell the story, and that's what the chess drum, that's what it's designed to do, is designed to tell stories and to show people that chess is universal.
Yes.
That is not a game that's only suited for a certain class of people or a certain ethnicity. It's a universal game. I've spent 20 years telling the story, and I have a lot of proof that people of African descent can definitely make contributions to chess.
Yes, sir. Brother, we're going to end on that note, and I want to thank you again. We will be putting on this video, once we get it all edited, a link to how people can buy your book and all. Again, let's do this again sometime.
Okay, Corbin, thanks for having me, and I hope to get up to Kentucky.
Thank you.
All right.